Thank you for tuning in to the Contractors Corner Success Blueprints. I'm Karen Herrera, and today I have the honor to introduce Daniel Jape from Jape Services. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm very glad to be here, and thank you for having me on today.
Yes, I'm really excited to dive into. Let's just go right into your story. Tell us about your business and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. So the company that I own is Jape Services, obviously after my last name, Forrest there, and the services stands for the mechanical field. So we typically will specialize in residential and light commercial HVAC or heating and air conditioning, as well as we can do some plumbing as well for us there. That's kind of our bailiwick or our main focus for us. How I got started in the business is, I don't know, when I was probably 12 or 13,
Wow.
my summer job was to go into the shop and work and sweep and clean up and throw trash away for the guys as they were loading up materials and things like that. And from that, I just continued to work in the different aspects of the business. So I personally have done everything, like I said, from the shop to service to installation to management or leadership of different parts of the business for us, director roles. And then several years ago, I went ahead and got my unrestricted mechanical license with the state of Georgia. So now I have my license, and we can oversee and do everything on the mechanical side. So I have literally grown up in this business, doing different aspects from all over.
That's really exciting. That must have been like a huge moment when you got the license. And
Yeah, that
how was that feeling?
almost undescribable, I think, would be the way
Yeah.
because I put a lot of pressure, I think, on myself, which I know my wife will contest to and
Hmm.
confirm as well. So going for that process of studying and knowing, hey, you got to get the license because in the state of Georgia, at least for the heating and air conditioning, you have to have a licensee or a licensed person working in the business. So at that point, my father is kind of partly retired, so it's like, yeah, you got to get it. We got to get things moving forward. So I spent about probably 4 months doing studying the study courses. I went and took classes on how to do the test, and went and took the test. I probably slept 3 hours
Oh my
the
gosh.
night before. Yeah, we had to be there. I want to say around 7 or 8. I was up at about 5:30 in the morning. I got down there at the test center and just sat in the truck. But yeah, everything went really well. Got a pretty good grade on it, which I was happy about,
Yes.
and got the license. So the excitement and the joy of that was definitely right up there for me, and the
Yes.
relief of stress because once you have it, now I just have to maintain it, which is no problem. Every year or two, you have to do training courses, which I don't mind doing. But yeah, it's definitely a nice load to have off your back once you pass that exam.
Yeah. Hard work pays off and all this studying.
Yes, yeah, 100%. I can tell you, anyone that's watching that's trying to get a mechanical license or any of the license, electrical, plumbing, you got to get the books, you got to do the courses, and you got to spend the time studying. So when you get in there, you know exactly what you need to look for and exactly what to do. Because I will tell you, there were a couple people that were doing the exam next to me, and you could always tell when people hadn't fully studied because those of us had studied, we'd read the question and we'd typically flip a couple pages, we'd know where it is. And you could see the other people, they were hear the pages moving back and forth as they're just frantically searching for the different answers for us there. So it definitely pays off to take the time to study.
Yes. Going back, you said you started like around age 12.
Hmm.
Was there ever something else outside of HVAC that you wanted to do? I mean, you were really young, so you were still trying to figure your own identity out, right?
Yeah.
Was there anything else that ever gravitated your attention, or you knew that HVAC was the way that you were going to go?
Yeah, I didn't really have anything else that jumped out at me simply because inside of HVAC, although we think of it as really just the mechanical component, there's lots of different aspects that we get to do with the business. So, for example, one of the aspects is, of course, the installation. And I think for me as a young age, I was really drawn to that because my father did that. My grandfather also worked with his hands. He was a nuclear engineer. My uncle was a mechanical engineer, right? So I kind of grew up in a family where
Hmm.
you worked and you did things. And I always found that going into a home or a business and where they may not have had air conditioning at the time because it wasn't working, and either solving or fixing that problem and bringing them that relief, or on the install side, taking something out that was maybe old and broken and putting something back. At the end of the day, being able to look at something and know that, hey, I accomplished that, it always brought myself a level of joy and excitement, right? Or on the service side, going in and not knowing what's wrong and being able to spend time troubleshooting, figuring it out, and then solving the issue and going down and talking to the customer. Because, of course, they're excited because now they don't have to sleep in a 90-degree bedroom, right? That was always kind of that interaction. So there was that mechanical component, there was the human interaction component, which I always enjoyed. And then, of course, as I continued to expand and grow in the business, I moved into the sales, which is, part of what I do right now. So that's nice. I get to go and meet different people, have different skill sets for that than, say, just the mechanical. And then, of course, over time, as I continued to evolve in the business, moving into the director roles and management roles, you have financing. So you're reviewing your P&Ls, your SG&A, your overhead, your A&P, right? You're doing budgets, you're looking at forecasting. So although it is quote unquote just HVAC, there were lots of aspects of the business, from the mechanical to the finance and to the human being or sales aspect, that really always kind of interest me. So
Hmm.
I was always just drawn to that because every day I may be doing something different than the day before. And that to me is something that's exciting.
Yeah. Did you see things growing up of like maybe things of what not to do or mistakes or pivotal moments that kind of shaped, your journey?
Yeah, I think there were definitely a couple things along the line as we continued to grow and expand. And I got to spend some time in the field seeing different things, right? And one of the things I find is always crucial in the service industry is going to be that empathy, right? Is being able to have either yourself or your employees, whether it's your technicians in the field, whether it's your team in the office, being able to connect with that homeowner or the business owner when they call in at Friday at 4:59 and they say, I don't have air conditioning, or in the wintertime, I don't have heat,
Hmm.
right? It's very easy. It's 4:59, it's kind of the end of the day, and you're ready to go. But it's always great to have that team that will kind of take that ownership and say, hey, look, I understand what it's like for you to be in that scenario. And I'm going to do everything that I can within inside of my power to see what we can do to help you, right? Whether that's we're available right then, or we try to reschedule someone and move something up, or we say, hey, we're going to come out there on a Saturday or a Sunday, whatever we need to do. I think that level of connection between yourself, whether you're the business owner, the technician, anyone in it, and the customer, and providing that level of service is one of the things that I find sometimes can get lost as companies continue to grow and build. And a lot of that really just comes, I think, down to the laws of averages, right? As you continue to grow and you hire and you get to a certain amount, you have to, fill spots and have a certain amount of people working in the business. So naturally, you're going to hire people maybe that you wouldn't have hired if you were, a smaller company or something like that. So, a lot of that I think comes down to just how you want to grow and run the business and take care of the customers. And that was always something that was instilled with me from a very, very young age.
Hmm.
And I think part of what helped me, of course, was actually being out in the field, right? So I know what it's like to be out at someone's house at 6 o'clock, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night on a Friday, trying to get them air conditioning, right? I understand what that's like. I understand if you're a technician in the field and you're trying to call your boss and it's Saturday at 6:30 in the evening, what it's like not being able to get someone on the other line, and you're stuck, right? You don't know what to do. So I think some of those experiences that I had that, growing up in the field and in the business have really helped, at least I feel helped shape the way we run the business now, and making sure that everyone I'm bringing onto the team and hiring also has that same level of dedication and empathy and connectivity with what we're trying to do and understanding what we do for our customers.
Did you spend a lot of time like you feel like you bonded with your dad, especially in those times? growing up?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I would think there would be probably like any father and son that work together.
Mm-hmm.
You have high times, and then you have some disagreements and things like that.
Yes.
Because when I was younger, of course, sometimes I might be tired, and I may not want to get up on a Saturday at six
Like, where are
thirty to
you
go
taking
work,
me? I don't
right?
want to
Yeah,
go.
yeah. What are we doing? But yeah, getting to spend time together with my dad, my family, as I grew up in the business,
Hmm.
absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't trade that for anything, right? And a lot of the things I've learned today, I will attribute to that connectivity and that experience of my dad, my mom, and us working together, and me getting to see and understand the level of commitment that it takes to truly provide an excellent experience for our customers and grow the business.
If you could tell, what would you tell your younger self? Like now, if you could go back and say, "Hey, Daniel."
Yeah. Um, I would probably tell my younger self to have a little bit more patience when it comes to understanding where you want to be in the future and understand the level of dedication and commitment that it takes to get to where you want to go, right? I find a lot of people will underestimate what they can do long term, and they will overestimate what they can do in the short term, right? And I feel that would be probably a good thing to tell my younger self, to understand, hey, there's something that you want to work for, and it's okay if it takes you, several years to get to where you need to be, right? Don't think that you're just going to go do something and within a week or two it'll be done, because a lot of times those things in life that you do have to spend, a little bit longer, maybe a little bit harder working for, tend to be the things that last and stay with you longer.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned, your team. How big is your team currently, and where are you guys located, and where do you service?
Yeah. So our team is kind of located all around our area for us here. So what we have, our central office is in the Jasper, Canton area. But thank goodness, with the invention and use of technology, we can actually, kind of have people going all over the place for us there. So our main office, like I said, is in the Canton and Jasper area, but we service pretty much the majority of the Metro Atlanta area for us. So if you were to look at Atlanta, probably 50-mile radius right around there for us. So common areas of service is going to be Woodstock, Cherokee County, of course, Marietta, Roswell, Alpharetta, Cumming, right? Those are very consistent ones for us. But at the same time, I have employees we have over in the Lawrenceville area, over in Duluth. Last night I was down in Jonesboro because we had an emergency call, so we go down there. So we're able to pretty much service all of that area. Moving further west, Douglasville gets a little bit too far for us, so we try to stay kind of
Mm-hmm.
east of the Six Flags area.
Mm-hmm.
But then I have a couple employees that live up in the Cartersville area as well. So we kind of service all of that, and it really just helps tremendously, of course, with the way we're able to use technology. I can have my technicians dispatch and everything right from their houses, so we don't have to do what we used to do in the old days, which was everyone come into the office, you get your calls, then you go out and run the calls. So, you might have someone drive 20, 30 minutes to the office, get what they need, then drive 20, 30 minutes back the direction they just came. So a lot of that we've been able to streamline and utilize the technology to help out, in terms of efficiency wise.
Yeah, technology is just advancing, and I mean, how do you adapt to stay ahead of that dynamic market?
Yeah, I would say for us, there's kind of twofold, right? So when I look at the technology that we look at, one of it, of course, is going to be very industry specific. So it's going to be the units that we install, the features and benefits they offer, right? And a lot of that comes down to just continuing education, working with the manufacturers to understand what's happening. We're part of several groups around the state as well that do continuing education for us, because some of that moving similar technology, but some of it's also going to be certain regulations and restrictions and code requirements. So we kind of have to stay up on that. And then the other part is going to be tying in technology that maybe is not industry specific, but it's going to enable us to provide a better customer experience, right? Maybe that's from our dispatching software, that we're able to send you confirmations. And when we're on the way, it sends you a picture of the technician, and then you can click on it and see where they are. So if you need to run to the store and you see, hey, I'm in Holly Springs and my technician's coming from Roswell Road, I have 20, 30 minutes. I can go do those types of things, right? So a lot of that just comes down to understanding that balance of what will help us provide a better customer experience, and whether that's inside or outside of our industry specific. We just try to take a look at all of that and integrate what we feel would make a better customer experience for our end users.
That's awesome. How do you manage to juggle like the demands of work and family life? And how do you find any parallels between leadership in business and at home? I know it's a loaded question.
That's so I'll have my answer, and then if my wife was here, she might have a different answer, right,
Of
for us
course.
there. But yeah, I mean, when you're in a service-based industry, I think there just has to be a general understanding that at times the level of commitment that will be given to that business is going to be, above 100%, right? I mean, especially for us, because we specialize mainly in the HVAC industry, or heating and air conditioning. And although our winters down here aren't typically too intense,
Mhm.
we're right on the precipice of moving into our busiest season, which is going to be air conditioning season.
Yes.
So I've kind of, my wife, we've been together, we were chatting
Yes.
pre-show, but right, we've been together now since '03, and so we've been together quite a long time. She understands that here in the next month or two, it's just going to be go, go, go for myself, but that's how, we're able to provide and, provide for the family and my girls and things like that growing up for us there. So, there is that aspect of it, but at the same time, I also fully realize and recognize that I can't work, 7 days a week nonstop and not get time to spend with my family and my girls. So I do try to make sure that as we move into busy season, maybe 1 or 2 weekends a month, I'll schedule myself off a couple hours on like a Saturday or maybe the whole day, and make sure I can dedicate that time to do things with the family, right? Or even if I'm working late, I might mark myself off for my last call to make sure, hey, the kids and Jana, they want to go to dinner tonight. So I'll come home and make sure that, right? So I think there has to be kind of that balance and understanding of what are the goals that you want to achieve in your personal life, and what are the goals that you want to achieve in the business life. And it's really up to the individual to kind of blend those things together. To
It
this,
sounds like you have a supportive, family. I feel like you have to when it comes to that unpredictability of like that the the schedule might be, it's not an 8 to 5 kind of thing.
right, right. It's not right, and I think that a lot of that is going to be, once again, the support that I get from my wife and my girls. Right, if you don't have that, um, the service business industry is typically not one that you'll be successful in, right? Doing this for as long as I have, I've seen people that have that level of commitment and understanding, and
Mhm.
then those that don't. And, it tends not to be the best fit for someone that doesn't have that level of commitment and understanding on the home front. Because it is tough, right? What we do is tough, right? I mean, there are nights where we're working till 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. I mean, that's just, it is what it is. It's the industry that we've chosen, and being able to have that support system and understanding of what that looks like from the home front makes one less thing that you don't have to worry about when you're out in the field or at the office or on the road trying to take care of customers.
And what would be like one piece of advice that you would give maybe another person that wants to go into the HVAC field, maybe even start their own business?
Yeah, so my advice on this would be, take the time to understand the different aspects of the business, right? And what I mean by that is, I have seen managers and leaders that have not spent time maybe in the field or doing some of the things that the people they're over actually do. And I find that a lot of times then you'll have a disconnect between the employee and the boss, right? Because they'll be able to come up, they might want to talk shop or ask you questions, and you don't have that level of connectivity. So one of the things I feel that have made myself fairly successful and my family successful, kind of going back to our prior conversation today, is I have had that experience. Now, I am no way an expert at
Sure.
any of those areas, right? My installers, they can run circles around me. My service techs, they are, they're way, way better at that craft. But I feel like I have enough experience there that when we're talking, that we can have a good, solid conversation And more importantly, they know that if they need me, I'll go jump in the truck and drive over there and help them. Even if that's just to be, myself when I'm 5 years old and the flashlight, right? If I'm just the flashlight guy, and if they need a part out of the truck, like I'll go get that for them. I think that's one of the main things that as you get into this industry is everyone wants to kind of leapfrog some of those things. And hey, we want to start out, okay, after a short amount of time, I kind of want to do sales and I want to be the boss. And then once I'm the boss, I only have to work 8 to 5 and I don't have to work weekends, right? I mean, to truly be successful in this business, you have to have that level of connectivity with your frontline employees or team members. And you have to understand that as you continue to grow in leadership, your responsibility to those guys simply just increases, guys or girls. It just increases that if they need you, you need to be available, right? You got to have your phone, you got to help them. And more importantly, not only the technical side, but you have to be willing to help them grow in terms of a human being, right? So they may come to you and ask questions, life questions, or they may have financial questions, right? So there's a lot of things that go into it. And understanding that your goal as a leader is to develop them as a human being and not just a service technician or an installer or a customer service employee. I think that level of dedication and understanding is something that would really behoove anyone that's trying to get into this business if they want their business to be successful, grow, and have happy employees.
Hmm. How important is the company culture that you've created, equipping your team and your day in and day out?
Yeah, for us, especially as a service-based business, the level of culture and dedication that you have in your people is, it might sound a little cliche, but it's probably the most important thing that we do. Simply because I can't be everywhere, right? I can't, be here with you doing this and then also running calls and helping the team out in the field. So I have to make sure that the principles that we've been speaking about today and the things that I hold near and dear to my heart are also then embraced by the team because when they are out going to our customers' homes or our businesses, they're a direct representation of what I want the business to be. So making sure we're doing the proper screening process, especially during the hiring and the onboarding process, making sure we're getting people that align with our principles and values, and then making sure they're following the processes that we've developed that lead to an excellent customer experience. That's some of the most important things that we will teach and coach on as a new team member or a new employee will come on board. Because the technical side, we can always teach the technical side, right?
Right.
But finding the right people that have that level of connectivity with other human beings that can express themselves, that understand and embrace empathy, that is probably one of the most important things that we look for when we're hiring a new technician or installer, customer service employee, whoever that might be.
Can you share some of maybe challenges that you faced as you were growing your company?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different companies out there that will try to emulate and do what we do, right? And one of the things that is tough in our industry is you have a lot of larger companies that are going to be around. Then you have a lot of smaller companies that maybe only have, one or two people. So it's getting the message out of who we are, what our value proposition is, how we can connect and help you as a customer, and then making sure if the customer is going to call, say, two or three people, how do you become those, one, two, or three people that they're going to call? So one of the big things, of course, we've been spending time and learning on is, the power of the social media. So things like this,
Hmm.
because 20 years ago it was way different. I mean, I
Yes.
remember we were still buying ads in the phone book, right? I mean that that
Hmm.
was the way we used to do it years and years and years ago, right? But as things can kind of continue to grow, understanding the importance of our social media presence, understanding the value of our reviews, whether that's on Facebook or Google, and understanding the value of the recommendations, right? So when someone posts on some of the areas, say, hey, we need air conditioning, or my upstairs furnace isn't working, or my water heater's down, right? Having that kind of organic response from your prior customers that they would take the time to respond and say, hey, we would recommend, Jape Services to you has been just tremendous for us there. And it's definitely been a little bit of a learning process because that area and that field changes quite a bit But it's definitely been a fun journey to to get to all that moving and get it growing for us there.
Yeah. Are you guys active in the community, like giving back?
We
And
are, yeah. So we try to, of course, everyone that asks in terms of scholarships for the baseball team, softball team, soccer teams, right? We try to do that. We do the Canton the Friday event, so we're one of the sponsorships there. We did a sponsorship up in Jasper for us as well, and then we try to do everything that we can for anyone that asks in terms of donations, help, different things of that nature.
I love hearing that.
Yeah,
And I really appreciate, you taking the time to be here with me
yeah,
today. Where can people follow? You mentioned social media. What
yeah.
are the handles and where can people go to follow you
Yeah,
guys?
so if you want to check us out on Facebook, it's just Jape Services. That's Jape Services. You can check us out there. We have our website, of course, japeservices.com. You can find out more about us, about the company, anything that you want to look at there. I think my wife has Instagram as well. So I personally don't have Instagram, but I know she does it there. So you can do the Jape Services as well. But any of those platforms, if you look for it, and then of course we're on LinkedIn, so you can check out our profile on there. We'll typically have pictures of work that we've been doing. I'll do some updates on industry changes with regulations that may be changing and how that can affect certain homeowners and kind of what you should plan for if you're looking at replacing or servicing a HVAC system.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Daniel, and thank you to our listeners. And I don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks.